Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy MD's Baseball Podcast. Today is Monday, April 11th, 2022. This is episode number 12. Your host, Dominic Martino. Here as always with my co-host, Matthew Arne. Matt, baseball is here. You finally got stats that count and matter. Are you as hype, man? This is a hype episode, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it's nice to be here. It's happy to be sound. I'm going to a game in a couple weeks. Yo, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, my brother.
How'd you make out over the weekend? You do good?
Yeah, my teams look all right so far. A few minor adjustments, just as sure as everybody's feeling at this point, which is why we're here to do the show today. We're going to highlight a lot of waiver wire guys. I know there's been a lot of injuries, which we're also going to break down in a minute. But Matt, we're going to start here with I think we mentioned this segment once before, but we're really, since the season's here and we're really going to have like a new way of doing the show, we're going to introduce a segment here called Finger on the Pulse, which is where Matt and I highlight a player or something in particular that we've seen that's going on during the season or at the moment that we truly think needs to be spoken about, something that we really think hits the pulse of what's going on in baseball at the moment. Matt, right? Did I say that pretty well? Or
yeah, you handled it pretty nice.
All right, so my brother, why don't you lead with yours?
All right, so one of the guys I want to highlight is Jesse Winker. So somebody was probably used for a higher draft capital this year and during the draft season. But the thing is, he's batting like crap right now. I think he has one hit on the season. I could pull that up right now. So yeah, he legit has 2 hits. He's batting 200 out of 10 at bats, and somebody's probably a little frustrated and probably gone, oh no, I got the last year hype machine, and he's gonna flop this year. So this is my game plan for you: buy him cheap. Send this freaked out manager a little low ball offer real quick before he hits something tonight, and he'll probably accept. I mean, not for nothing, I'm one of his owners, and I'm a little bit like on the hesitancy, but at the same time, I know the talent. That's why they call him Baby Votto, and I think that we're going to see what we saw last year is probably going to come up this year, and hopefully he just improves against lefties. So, I think that he's a very good buy low candidate. Somebody who can probably give your team a boost, especially if you need a better UT or your end of your outfield is probably not as strong if you went higher on other positions. So
actually, Matt, yeah, I'm loving everything you said there, and I'm actually going to highlight some of the good so far I'm seeing here from Winker's stats. I have his stats right here in front of me as well. So actually, he's got 4 walks so far to 0 strikeouts. That's a positive sign if I've ever seen one myself. It's only 10 at bats here so far, so let's not get too worried. Like Matt said, he had a great year last year. I'll read you off his stats from last year. Last year, Jesse Winker hit 305. He had 1 steal, 71 RBIs, 24 home runs, 77 runs, and that's only in 423 at-bats. He's on a way better team this year so far. Seattle's 2-1. And I like the roster they're trying out there. They look very competitive. They got some good pitching. Robbie Ray looked good in his first outing. Mitch Haniger looks very good so far. He's hit a couple bombs. Julio off to a little bit of a rocky start. Only 1 hit for him, but, we'll see where that goes. And Kelenic, not so good either so far, but I think that lineup has a lot of potential. And I think, like Matt said, Jesse Winker is a very good buy low right now if you can get your hands out there on him. I want to transfer over to my guy right now, and it's just somebody who has all the talent in the world and is finally looks like he's putting it together over the last couple of years, and that's Byron Buxton. And man, oh man, kid's off to a hot start. He's got 3 bombs, 4 ribbies. He's only hitting 250, but I'll take the 3 bombs just as I'm sure anybody else will. It just really and he's had some very good defensive plays as well. In my opinion, the kid looks ready to go out there, and I think if he gets 140, 150 games, he's in the MVP conversation. Unfortunately, he's got Shohei Ohtani in the AL, so it's going to be tough for him to really get over him. But I think, in my opinion, I think Buxton's got 40-40 upside. I'm not saying he gets there, but that is the upside if he really, goes off and just does everything that it looks like he can do. My opinion is he's the real deal. Don't sell low on him. He's the opposite of what Matt was trying to get at. I'm saying don't sell low. Hold on Byron Buxton unless you get an offer that truly blows you away. I think unless you get like a top 20 type player for him, otherwise hold, because I think that's where he's going to land this year, in the top 20. Matt, any thoughts on Buxton?
I do. I like everything you said, except for the part where you say hold him. So,
okay.
If you're a Byron Buxton truther, you want to ride it out. I respect it. And, I don't blame you. You're going to get production when he's healthy. But here's my thing, just based off of his history, knowing that, he does get hurt quite often. He's probably a guy I'd be trying to move and sell high. So this isn't like a buy low, sell high kind of segment, but today happens to be. So like
I
honestly,
hear what you're saying though.
if you could turn him into like a top 20 guy and like or even fill a couple of positions with a multiplayer deal that fills all your holes for a guy that's probably going to get hurt and have a long stint in the IL.
I actually like that. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm ready to like dump Byron Buxton and get a haul in before it's too late. It's like shorten the stocks. Let's get it out quick and let's make that money. And how you make that money is get a haul for Byron Buxton and call it a day.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I like what Matt's saying in the sense of if you can get a nice 2-for-1 for Buxton, let's say your team, your pitching staff isn't looking so great, and maybe you're missing a little bit on outfield, or if you're a little bit deeper in outfield, I missaid that. Maybe you could look to move him then. Maybe if you get 2 nice pieces there, you get yourself a starting pitcher, or you say you're missing a shortstop or second baseman.
Would you do it for Julio Urias, who just got blown up in Colorado?
A 1-for-1?
1-for-1.
I don't think so. I'm not doing that 1-for-1 right now.
You're holding Buxton on that
one. I'm holding Buxton on that one.
Okay.
Maybe for your other boy. You want to mention your other boy?
Brandon Woodruff.
You taking that route? I'll take Woodruff for him.
I'll take Woodruff for him. If somebody was stupid enough to take Woodruff for him,
I'll tell you this.
No problem. I'll take it all day. But
yeah, not that. I don't want to get too much into this, but all of the Brewers aces looked kind of mediocre in cores. I'm not cores. I'm in Chicago. The thing is that Woodruff gave up 9, Burns gave up 3, Freddie Peralta gave up 3. It was really cold out there. I know the Cubs pitching staff looked a little bit better, but I think the Brewers pitching staff gets a little bit of a break there. And I would take Woodruff for Buxton.
Right.
So yeah.
So guys, I got one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, preach.
One more player.
Yeah, come on.
All right. So, you made me forget it, buddy.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all good.
We could always circle back.
It'll come back to me. Let's just roll.
Yeah, we could. If it hits you at any point, feel free to bring it back up. But the next thing, we're going to get into some news and notes here. One of the big ones, Taylor Rogers, the Chris Paddock trade goes through. It's basically Taylor Rogers for Chris Paddock straight up, pretty much for fantasy purposes. And Taylor Rogers looks great right now. He's got 2 saves so far, 2 innings, a strikeout, no walks so far. Yep, no walks. And he hasn't given up a hit either. So it looks very good for anyone who took Taylor Rogers late. Matt is hype about it because he's one of those guys who did. Matt, if you want to elaborate here more on the situation, feel free, my brother. By the way, I'm not still huge on Chris Paddock either way, guys. I'm not a big fan of Chris Paddock at the moment.
I'm okay. I mean, the only intriguing part is I want to see what he looks like after the All-Star break for Chris Paddock, because after working with Corbin Burns and Woodruff, and that pitching coach, I think something good may come of it because he does have good talent. But anyway, as to why I like Taylor Rogers in this, outside of the fact that I got him just because I got stuck at a relief and somebody sniped out Jordan Romano on me. But I'm sitting pretty now. I got the San Diego's closer, and he's filthy now. So I'm pretty happy. He got a monster upgrade, and if you were lucky enough to get him, you're smiling just like I am. Somehow, if he's sitting on your waivers, and run out and go check. He probably in a daily, probably not there. But if you're in a weekly and he's there, he'd probably
that's a number one. That's a number one waiver priority. We were gonna do we're doing a closer segment later on. He would easily be the number one of that segment later on. But
he's definitely it was definitely a giant upgrade for all of you. So. Amen.
Yeah, guys, that was a cool little move at the beginning of the season. All right, now it's on to some less fun stuff here. We're gonna do more of a little injury notes here. More starting pitchers go down. We're gonna start with Blake Snell. This one stinks. I was high on Blake Snell. I really thought he was gonna vibe off of that little run he had last year. I believe it was like almost a 10-start run where he was just like one of the best pitchers in baseball. But it looks like he's headed to the injured list. It was a groin injury here, or actually it's left abductor tightness.
There it is.
So it was the same injury that troubled him at the end of last season. So my opinion, it's not looking good. Looks like he's headed to the IL. So in my opinion, just drop him on the IL if you got the spot. If you're banged up with more than one or two pitchers, you could always send us a note, and we'll let you know which ones you should stash and which ones you should cut. I think Blake Snell's a stash right now, though. He'd be on the higher end of hurt pitchers, in my opinion. Matt, you want to take over here on Snell?
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of those guys that I have him, so it's really not great. We'll be coming up with one of his replacements in the waiver wire, so I'm not going to get too in-depth on that.
We got a whole bunch of replacements for you guys coming up. Don't worry about that.
But talking about Blake Snell, if you're looking, oh my God, maybe I should trade him. Don't trade him. He's not worth anything for you.
Yeah, not yet.
If you're somebody that has the free IL, you have a good staff, or you have somebody in need of a staff, you could probably trade for. I'd trade for him and see if the owner will bite for something cheap. And
I like that. I think that's the move with Snell, to be honest. To go out and trade for him, if anything. Yeah.
And if you're our listener, hold on to him because he's going to come back. I don't know when yet. That's the only thing.
There's no timetable yet. No timetable.
But I mean, if he's back in a couple weeks, we'll be happy, and that's why I say hold on to him. We'll get back and circle back on him because I'm going to be going through this pain and growth with you of Blake Snell.
Yeah, and that's he's one of my favorite pitchers. I had him the year he won the Cy Young in almost every league. He was like one of my last round picks that year, and I lucked out on him. As I said, I think he's a great pitcher. If he's not throwing the changeup, that's the key for Blake Snell. Last year, when he ditched the changeup and he let his other pitchers shine, he was dominant. Anyone can go look up that 10-start run he had there. It was like under a 2 ERA and just a massive amount of strikeouts, and he looked like the Cy Young winner from a few years back. So he's a stash. And if you can go out and get him on the cheap this year, I would totally do it. I was going to say that's the move I did last year. I went out and got him on the cheap before he did that 10-start run, and I was feeling pretty good about it. But on to the next one, another big end pitcher here that's hurt, and it's a little bit more of a unsure situation because he's not on the IL yet. This is Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox. He was out there on a roll the other day. I believe he had like 6 strikeouts over 4 innings, and he just looked like he was, going to win that AL Cy Young, like I had predicted him to. But it looks like he's going to miss at least his next 2 starts, according to Tony La Russa, the manager. He left because of abdominal tightness on his left side. He came out and said that he's feeling a little bit better, but he still hasn't hit the IL, so I'm not exactly sure what the move is with him. It does make me feel a little bit good that he hasn't hit the IL. Maybe he only misses 1 start and they can get him back in there. But if he does hit the IL, I'd expect him to at least miss the next 2. But I'm optimistic it's not going to be a long-term thing with him. I think he gets back out there sooner than later and helps your teams out like he was supposed to from the jump. Matt, any thoughts here on Gio?
I'm not sure. Abdominal is never a good sign, especially when somebody has to leave the game in the middle of pitching for that kind of injury. Usually it leads to longer than 2 weeks. So, I'm not holding my breath. I'm also just not happy at the fact that it's this early and that, it's soft tissue, which means this may pop up again. It's one of those things where if you have them, hold on to them. Don't do anything with it because you're going to get pennies on the dollar. And if you're looking for a replacement, just hang on till later and we'll help you find something.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm not really looking to move him right now because, as Matt said, you're really not going to get the value for him. I do have him over Blake Snell in my holds because, like I said, there's a crazy amount of starting pitchers right now that are on the IL. Maybe by Thursday we'll have a little ranking list of stashes of hurt IL guys because it's still getting a laundry list right now, and it's hard to even keep track as far as I'm concerned. So, but Gio, hold him. There's not much else he could do there. He's top 10 pitcher when healthy, in my opinion. So, moving on though, next guy here is going to be Luis Castillo. Actually, in better news, looks like he's going to be throwing soon. So that's a great sign, guys. Any of these starting pitchers that are coming back sooner than later, it's going to be helpful, as I said, with the laundry list here we got going of hurt guys. So once again, you go out and trade for him. Maybe people don't know that he's going to be throwing soon. If you can get him super cheap, I like him. He's under Snell and Giolito for me, though. Matt, I'm not sure how you feel about Luis Castillo here.
If you don't have either and somehow he's sitting on your waiver wires, which is maybe about, I don't even know what he's owned right now. If you can look that up for me, Dom.
Yeah, I got you, my brother.
And if he's somewhere out there, go scoop him up because I definitely stash him for at least the next 2 weeks. Because what they're saying is he's facing live batters next week. He's already thrown off the mound and playing catch. So this is good signs. So if everything goes well, he can be back in 2 weeks and he can be starting for the last week of April. So
Well, on Yahoo, he's pretty highly owned. He's 92%. So.
okay, so he's probably not sitting out there in that 8%.
But go out there and trade for him, though. I would say go out there, and if you can get him cheap.
Yeah, I would totally do that. Maybe, float somebody that's probably going to be out for a long time.
Matt, did you say that he threw Saturday? He threw a bullpen Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's throwing off the mound already, throwing a bullpen.
Yeah. He's out there.
He's facing live batters probably next week with no setbacks, so it's good news.
Yeah. That's very good, actually. Yeah. I'm actually very happy about that. Guys, yeah, definitely. I would say go out and try and get him cheap.
Yeah.
All right, so next one here. This one is just a little note, nothing too crazy. Just to remind you, Fernando Tatis is going to be back at some point. We're not sure exactly when, but he's scheduled to start swinging a bat soon. So it's encouraging. He's supposed to be back sometime in June with I guess without any setbacks. So just once again, I'm not really saying go out there and trade for him, but if you have him, he's a hold, one of the best players in the game. Just wanted to throw out there was a little update on him. That's about it there. And Matt, unless you got anything to say, I think we'll just keep it pushing there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Another guy here that somebody I do like. He's all right, folks. The Fantasy MD's back here again. We had a little technical difficulties in the middle of the episode, but we're just going to keep it rolling here, guys. We were in the middle of giving you injury updates. We had just mentioned Tatis is going to start swinging soon, so that's good news for him. Not much else to mention there. It's not going to be back until probably mid-June. But somebody that's a little bit more interesting here, Zach Gallen. Have a big bounce back year this year, but it looks like he was scratched from his start. He's no longer going to be pitching Tuesday. He was scheduled to make a season debut against Houston. It looks like Bumgarner is going to step in. It doesn't seem like it's clear what the injury is, or they're just adjusting their rotation. But I don't know. It doesn't look good to me here. I don't know. Maybe it looks like cut on his thumb. Maybe something like that too could be an issue here. So doesn't look like a huge deal, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of a little iffy on Gallen. He was banged up last year. He had that one big breakout year, which was that was in 2019. So I mean, a little bit removed from that. So, Matt, any thoughts on Gallen here? To be honest, he's below. If he does hit the IL, he's below all the guys we just mentioned. Below Snell, below Gio, and below Castillo for me, in my opinion.
I mean, the chances of you guys having all these guys is, well, you had a great draft if you did. But,
yeah.
I would say that, you hang on to him as long as you can. But, at this point, it is what it is. There is still upside. I can't see this making him hit the IL, but I can see this be annoying where he's probably going to miss a start. So, it's gonna affect the grip on the laces and all the things like that. So it's probably going to throw off quite a few things. So he's probably not going to be right for about a month. So, I'd be avoiding his starts probably for a month at least. So, it's going to suck holding him. So I wouldn't blame me if you drop him, but I'll probably do a hold for as long as I humanly can.
So. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like the upside on the kid. But if he did manage to have, a minimum IL spots and a lot of banged up pitchers, I could see letting him go, to be honest. All right, keep it pushing here. We got somebody who started at the season like a house on fire. That's Ian Happ for the Chicago Cubs. So far in 7 at-bats, he's got 5 hits, 2 doubles, no bombs, 4 RBIs. A walk, no strikeouts, which is big for Ian Happ, and he's hitting .714. So he looks great so far, but he did get banged up. He got hit on the knee by a pitch, so he might miss a couple games there. I think the X-rays came back negative, as far as I can see. So he'll be back there eventually. Miss a couple days. But I like Ian Happ. He's going to be, he is 27 this year. I don't know if he really breaks out, but he had 25 bombs last year. He had 9 steals, so almost double there. Was a 226 batting average. But I think he does have maybe a 270 season in there somewhere with 20 plus bombs, maybe 10 plus steals. So I think he could do worse than Ian Happ if the end of your bench. But I kind of like Ian Happ's upside this year, especially with the hot start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how relevant he's going to be, if he's even going to be the guy that's going to do this for another week. It's it's 4 days into baseball, but it is upsetting for at least riding the ride, and seeing at least him get some counting stats, especially in those NFBC leagues or best ball leagues. He probably came in handy, but long term predictions, I foresee him kind of being just as useful as in your lineup with or being on the IL, because he probably won't be on my team. But you got to ride the ride.
I hear that. I hear that. You know what, Matt? I don't blame you, but you know what? Like you're saying, ride the ride. My term I like to use is juice the orange, right? You know what? Get everything you can out of him. You know what? If he's gonna be hot for a month, he's hot for a month, and then you cut him or you move on, or you try and trade him, whatever it is. But Ian Happ does have these little binges where he goes off like this, so I mean, it's not surprising. But Matt might be right.
Mm-hmm. So it seems we're having a little bit more technical difficulties. Yeah. So welcome to where I just having a lovely time here. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy. I have lost internet.
All right, so moving on from Ian Happ here, we're gonna get into some better news here. Looks like Lance McCullers is going to start throwing soon. I still don't think there's any timetable on him, but Lance McCullers, man, he's a good starting pitcher. He's actually somebody who I value more than Zach Gallen in the long term. Maybe a little bit under the other guys, though, maybe under the Snells and the Giolitos and the Castillos. Just trying to let everybody know where I stand on these guys. There's a lot of hurt guys. I'm sure a lot of people don't know what to do with them, so I'm just giving you my thoughts and opinions. But Lance McCullers last year, man, he had a pretty good year. He had a 3.16 ERA, 13 wins, 5 losses across 28 starts, 162.1 innings, 185 strikeouts, and the whip was a little high. It was a 1.22, but still a pretty good year for McCullers, in my opinion. 28 years old this year. I think when he's out there pitching, he's pretty good. I think he needs to be in your lineups. I think he's if he's out there on the free agents in your league, I say he's worth a stash if you have the room. Once again, prefacing all these hurt arms out there, right now. Matt, I'm not sure if you think he's worthy of a stash or not.
No, I'm not a fan. I've actually
Okay.
never been a fan of Lance McCullers. I think he's the most overrated pitcher in all of fantasy baseball.
Damn. Okay. Damn, the hateраde's out there. The hateраde's out there tonight.
Yeah, I got my cup at home. I apologize, but
it's all good.
He just never pans out. He's always super disappointing. He always ends up hurt. He does a couple good games, and then it's like, okay, and then but you know what? There's still upside. It's like you got to convince yourself to stay on the Lance McCullers train. So, like, what I did. I was on the train for a few years, and I looked at myself in the mirror and I smacked myself pretty damn hard, and I said, "Get out of it!" It's just it's too much of a ride. I can't do it no more. So
jumped off the train on that one.
Jumped off, and if I ever step back on, it's going to be in front of it because I'm not trying to deal with it.
I guess whatever you believe in. If you want to take my side, I guess he's worthy of a stash. You want to take Matt's side, he might not be worthy of a stash. But moving on, another guy here, Matt. I'm not sure how you feel about this one either. I feel like we're gonna another big sip of haterade on this one. But Yoan Moncada, hitting the IL. He's not super interesting at this point in his career. He had a pretty down year last year, but he's got an oblique, which is always tough to come back from, especially as a batter swinging. It's going to be tough. I mean, he did hit 263 last year with 14 bombs. Not much else to speak of. Only 3 steals, only 74 runs, which is disappointing in that White Sox lineup, and 61 RBIs. My opinion, you could feel free to cut him. I feel like you could do better out there on the waiver wire right now, especially a lot of bats. We're going to talk about some really interesting ones that I would definitely, let Yoan go for, in my opinion. Matt, you agree, Yoan? Just cut him at this point.
Done. I think he's just one of those washed up players that just never going to put things together.
Yeah, all right. So guys, we're agreeing on that one. Get Yon out of your lineups. You could probably find somebody better on the waiver wire. Listen to our next segment. Due to our delays, we actually got some more news here. Some actually breaking news. Looks like Mike Trout was scratched from the lineup today.
It's
Okay, but it
undisclosed.
does look like he's available off the bench. Yeah, it looks like he was scratched from the lineup due to stomach distress, but he's expected to be available off the bench. So, all right, not as serious as we possibly could have thought, but he's out of the
Adjust
lineup
accordingly.
today. Keep your eye on the illness, maybe. Yeah, adjust accordingly. Well said, Matt. Appreciate that. Moving on, Matt, you want to take the lead on this one because it's your boy Jack Flaherty is supposed to be throwing soon, which is super interesting.
Yep. So one,
I
it
know
makes me
Matt
look.
hit me with the update before.
Yeah, it definitely makes me look like a genius in our league because I didn't keep him, and then I decided to scoop him up with like the third to last pick in the draft. And like I advised everybody else to do the same, was get him at the end, see what you can make out of him, and see what happens. So if you followed my advice, you're sitting pretty with probably when before he got hurt, my 13th overall pitcher. So you got him for cheap. You dealt with him for a month being out, and now you're gonna bring him back in that lineup, and you're gonna slay everybody in every pitching category, especially Case. So you're welcome.
Yeah, here I'm reading the update here. It says Flaherty with the shoulder. He's working on building up strength before beginning a throwing program. He did sprints Saturday and polymetric exercises to build up strength in his arm and shoulder. The next step would be a throwing program, but it doesn't look like there's a timetable, but he's building up strength and everything. So that's good. That's good news, guys. Jack Flaherty is obviously a top 20 pitcher when he's ready to go, which is awesome. I'm excited to see what he can do when he finally, can get us a full year. Jack Flaherty is a stud. Like Matt said, he's going to help you in Ks, ERA, WHIP, and wins every category, especially with the Cardinals looking good so far this year. Well, moving on, that's the end of our news and injury update segment. So now what we're going to do is with all those injury and news and a lot of stuff going on, we're going to help you plug a lot of those holes here. We got a waiver wire segment now. Another one of Matt's guys that he's super hype about. We're going to lead the segment with this one. Looks like Mackenzie Gore might get a shot in the rotation. Matt, if you want to take the lead there, my brother, be my guest.
So, due to the delay, a lot of things happen and a lot of things come out fast. So I'm pretty happy we got the delay. So Mackenzie Gore is likely the guy that is called up if he can't make his start on Friday because it doesn't look like Blake Snell is going to be put on the IL. So, the benefit of, this delay is we got that information in time. He's already playing catch on today. So, he's planning to play catch tomorrow, which is a good thing. So, we may not miss a start from Blake Snell, which is good outside of the one he already did. But even so, I think Mackenzie Gore is a stash. I wouldn't say like waiver priority one, but you know what? If the young talent gets called up, he's probably going to, show some stuff and then probably give some intrigue to be called back up again, especially if one of these guys go down. At least we know he's kind of like the sixth man, the guy waiting in the wings for somebody to get hurt. So he's definitely worth at least a stash for this week, see how he makes out. If he goes off, I'd hold on to him for a couple weeks and see how if they even bother to send him down or if they try to make room for him. So that's kind of my advice on Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, Matt pretty much covered it pretty well there. I'm just gonna throw in my little 2 cents here. If the outlook is good on Blake Snell and he doesn't go on the IL, I don't know if I'm stashing Gore at that point. I think if one of these guys does go down, he isn't an immediate pickup. So my thing is if it's confirmed that Blake Snell's going down, I think no hesitation. It's to pick up Gore. Am I going to start him on Friday against the Braves because looks like the start he would get? No, but I would love to see who his second start is going to be against if that comes to fruition here. Because Mackenzie Gore is one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball, in my opinion, when he's going right. He had a pretty good spring. I believe it was a 4.25 ERA with a 0.9 whip, and he had 12 strikeouts in 9 innings, which is pretty damn good for him. A guy who didn't have the best year last year, but it looks like he's starting to figure things out now, and Mackenzie Gore is definitely super interesting. As I said, I'm not on the bench bandwagon of stashing him at the moment, unless there is a definite spot for him in that rotation. If there is, then I definitely think he's worthy of a grab. Another pitcher here, somebody who I actually think I prioritize him over Mackenzie Gore, in my opinion, on the waivers. Somebody we did talk about in the last episode, but we like him so much here at the MDs. We're going to talk about him again. That's Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds. Somebody who actually has a great track record in the minors. I'm not going to beat a dead horse because we went over all the stats last week. If you want to pull up his stats, be my guest. But we spoke about all that stuff last week. He is just going to start this week against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Matt, what day is that? Is that going to be on Wednesday, I believe? I'm not 100% sure. If you could hit me with that. What day is Lodolo supposed to start? Do you know?
April 13th.
I know it's this week against
Wednesday.
the Pirates, but April 13th. It is Wednesday. There you go. So April 13th, Wednesday for Lodolo. I say roll them out there in all your lineups. I know the Pirates went off yesterday, but prior to that, they looked pretty bad in their first two games. Once again, I'd say out of all the pitchers we're going to talk about on this waiver wire segment, I kind of got him at the top of my list, my opinion. I think he's going to have a big year.
Yep. I think he's.
Matt,
I scooped him
yeah,
up,
right.
ladies and gentlemen.
You're high on Lodolo too, right?
Yeah, the second I saw he was getting the start, I picked him up, but that was after the show last week on Thursday, so I didn't have time to tell you that. But I'm glad I got him before my league mates heard the show. So.
Oh yeah. To be honest, I was a little upset that Matt got to him before me. I just really didn't have the room in my roster at the moment. But guys, I'm high on Lodolo for this year, especially if he shows out in that first performance against the Pirates. Moving on. And somebody I'm not super familiar with, and Matt, I'm not sure if you are either, but this is Tommy Romero. He's supposed to get the call over the I think is he starting tomorrow? I think he's starting Tuesday. When you're hearing this, unfortunately, we're not able to help you get him in the lineup. But look out for Tommy Romero of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's supposed to be pretty interesting prospect. I know he had some really good minor league numbers. I'm going to try and get those up for you here. What did he do in the minors last year? Last year in the minors, Tommy Romero had 8 wins, 2 losses, a 2.61 ERA. That was in 110 innings and 145 strikeouts and a 0.96 whip. So the kid really showed out last year, had some really good numbers. It's a good start tomorrow against Oakland. It's probably going to be too late for you to hear this, to stream him in that start, but if he shows out in that start, Tampa's very good with pitching. I wouldn't be surprised. With Shane Baz, McClanahan, a lot of the young pitchers over the past few years have been pretty good. Wouldn't be surprised if he's added to the mix there. Once again, I'm not super familiar with him besides just looking at the numbers right now, but they look promising to me. Matt, your thoughts on Romero?
I'm like you said, I'm not really too familiar with him, but I will say that I'm actually picking him up as we speak. So that's done.
There you go. Here in the first, ladies and gentlemen, right here.
So he's starting tomorrow. Anyway, so
there you go.
Based off of what I saw from his minor league stats from when Dom just read him off, it was enough for me to just pull the trigger. I think that at least the Oakland A's can be a nice little quick start, get some stats, get you a little edge on the weekend. Let's see what the rookie can do.
Yeah. All right. So, moving on from there, we got we're going to talk about somebody interesting here, especially as Yankee fans. Gary Sanchez, showing out a little bit so far in Minnesota.
Yeah, where was this?
I'm going to get you his numbers here in a second. Yeah, right. So far on the year, Gary's got a bomb. He's got 5 RBIs. He's got a double. Looking like he's swinging a pretty decent bat so far for Minnesota. He's a little bit under-owned, so we figured we mention here if you need a catcher in deep leagues or anything like that. I wouldn't say go out and cut the catcher you got now for him or anything like that, but if unless it's like somebody who's just really absolutely doing nothing or something along the lines of that, a 2-catcher league. But if you got a top 10 catcher, I'm not really gonna take the chance on him like that. But it is interesting to note that he's doing pretty good so far over there. It looks like he's swinging a hot bat. Yeah. Now, what do you think about Gary?
I mean,
man, yeah.
I'm the one that brought it to attention. I think he's having a nice little start. If he keeps it up, that he's, that the upside could be, what we all talked about, come when he was a Yankee.
30 bombs, easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he's figuring it out here in Milwaukee. Maybe the situation's just a little bit more stable for him in terms of maybe mental state or whatever, and he's finally got it. Now he has a little chip on his shoulder after being, pretty much, punted out of New York, and gratefully so.
Yeah, literally.
let's see what happens. Let's see what he can do. He's, if you don't pick him up, put him on the watch list. Let's see if he keeps this up for another couple of days. If he's going like this into the weekend, I'm probably picking him up, and I'll let you guys know where I feel on him on Thursday, because I think that'll be a fair point. I'll get a couple more days before we release the show. So
yeah, once again, guys, I'm not in a rush to go pick him up. Like Matt said, throw him on the watch list. You keep an eye on what he's doing over the next few days. If he's hitting you those bombs, I kind of comp him to like a Mike Zunino type almost, where you're not going to get a crazy good batting average, but the 30 bomb plus power is real at a position that isn't the best, all the time. All right. Moving on to a guy who's in a great lineup, somebody who, if you listen to the MDs in the offseason, might be on your team because he's somebody I like to rant about a lot, which is Gavin Lux of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's hitting last right now, it looks like. But so far, in 8 at-bats, he's got 3 hits, 3 runs, no bombs, but 2 ribbies, and he's hitting .375 with 2 walks and no strikeouts, which you love to see that. You love to see the no strikeouts and the 2 walks from Lux, showing a little bit of plate discipline there in an absolutely great lineup. I just think if you don't have a share of that Dodgers lineup and you need somebody that's got multi-positional eligibility, especially second, short, and outfield, I think you give Gavin Lux the shot right now. I got him on a couple of my teams, not many of my big money leagues, but I do have him on a couple of my other teams, just sprinkled them in there a little bit. Like I said, I think it's just a guy that if you need exposure to that Dodgers lineup, you need some runs, you need a little bit of batting average. I think Gavin Lux is going to surprise some people this year.
Yeah.
Matt, would you agree there?
Yeah, I was debating on picking him up today. The reason I couldn't justify it, but he's definitely intriguing.
Yeah.
And at second base, which is another future position, somebody goes down, you're going to be happy you already scooped him up when you listen to us. So, you know what? He's at least worth an ad. I wouldn't throw any waiver or fab budget on him, but if he's sitting there, I'd scoop him. So
yeah, definitely. It's somebody who's definitely worth a shot. Guys, once again, we're just trying to cover injuries here, doing a little waiver wire, a little waiver wire segment. Somebody who a lot of the people might not know about. I think he's going to be a fan favorite at some point this year, but that's Connor Joe. He's eligible at first and outfield. Colorado Rocky. They took it to the Dodgers this past weekend, so it looks like the lineup is going to be pretty good there with KB, Ryan McMahon, a couple of them other boys over there swinging a hot bat. But I'm just gonna, guys, Connor Joe is somebody. I'll give you stats from last year. Last year, Connor Joe had 63 games, 179 at-bats, 23 runs, 8 bombs, 35 RBIs, and he hit .285. So in chorus, he's I think he's going to be pretty good. So far this year, he's in 11 at-bats, got 3 hits, 3 runs, a bomb, 2 RBIs, a steal, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, so he's not striking out a lot, and he's hitting .273. I think he could do worse at the position. I think he's going to definitely give you some power. Maybe he's got some sneaky speed there, throws in a couple of steals. But like I said, in Coors Field, you're going to get batting average, and he's going to give you some pop. Somebody who I think is a little bit interesting. Matt, once again, I know it's one of my boys over here, but any thoughts on Connor Joe?
What he's doing so far is something nice. You got an injury, or your utilities are not acting or to snuff yet. He's worth an ad. I'm not saying go burn a waiver priority or some fab. Maybe a couple dollars.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't
just to lock him in if you're really desperate. But hey, click the yes button, throw him in, and let's ride the wave while it's still going. And then when he's gone, drop him. He's nothing.
Yeah, guys, ride the wave, reduce the orange. That's going to be one of the mottos here at the MDs, guys. Just get the value while you can do it. It's not, you don't need to hold a guy for a whole year. He's got a guy you can, hey, maybe he goes off for a week, helps you win a week, you cut him, and then you do the same thing the next week. You try and find the next hot guy. Maybe it's one of these guys we're bringing up here. If you need a certain position, just pay attention. We're always going to mention the position the guy plays. So, once again, just follow us throughout the segment. We're going to be doing a lot of this type of stuff during the year. Leading into another guy, I'll let Matt lead with this one because I know I've been ranting over here about my guys. One of Matt's guys, Philadelphia Philly. That's Bryson Stott, to a hot start this year.
Yeah, kid looks great. Granted, I have no choice but to watch Phillies out here, unfortunately, but they're looking really good. He's on a lineup that has a lot of power. He's batting. The only thing is he's batting towards the end of the lineup. But if you missed out on shortstop, again, if your UT is not hot, he's somebody that you can rely on. He's about to get third base eligibility too, which is another little pump right there. It makes him a little bit more desirable. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to at least provide somewhat of a fantasy value for you for long term. He's somebody I'm thinking that you could probably hold on to for the whole season if he keeps going in this trajectory. So, right now he's actually, let me pull up his stats because it's just not even fair for me to go.
I got you, brother.
Thank you.
I got him right in front of me. So far this year, I mean, it's not a lot of at bats. It's only 7 at bats. It's 2 hits. It's a run. There's a double in there. There's an RBI. It's only 1 strikeout, no walks. But he's hitting 286, which is also really cool. But I did want to do this because we're talking about the kid. Once again, Bryson Stott last year in it was between all levels actually almost. It was AA and AAA. It's 112 games. It's 418 at bats, 71 runs. Threw in 26 doubles. I'll just throw that in there. 16 home runs, 49 RBIs, 10 steals, and he hit 299. So my thing is I think you got a power speed guy. He's not going to overwhelm you with either one, but he's going to chip it in both. And in that Phillies lineup, I think he's bound to score a good amount of runs. I think he throws in some RBIs, and I think he's a batting average guy. So I think it's a guy that's going to hit around 280 probably, in my opinion. I think you can do a lot worse at shortstop or third base than Bryson Stott right now. I think he's somebody that you go out there and you throw him at the end of your bench, and you just wait and you see what happens. Yeah. My opinion. I think he has a pretty good year this year.
To be honest, he's better than Moncada already. So I mean, somebody that's already down, somebody you can replace him with pretty much directly. And also too,
there you go. See, that's
I watched him. Watched him opening day. I pretty much watched him all weekend, and he's hitting it right into the gap. So he's not afraid. He's not selling out for power. So he's actually just getting on base and wreaking havoc for the Phillies in that lineup. And somebody's always there to bring him home. So your run category is going to be shooting up to wazoo if he keeps getting on base the way he is. So,
Yeah, I totally think that. And maybe this year may not be the breakout for Stott, but I think next year, I think is hands down, you need to have him on your team for next year. That's just my 2 cents. Moving on to one of our last hitters here for the segment. It's Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians, another guy who I wasn't super familiar with, but I've heard talk so far in the industry that this guy could be this year's Cedric Mullins. If he does, that would be absolutely absurd. Once again, coming from an unknown to a breakout type of player to that level. I'll just tell you, so far this year in 10 at bats, he has 8 hits. So he is hitting 800 so far. It's 2 doubles, 4 runs, no bombs, no ribbies, no steals. It's 3 walks and no strikeouts for Stephen Kwan. An interesting guy. Once again, I'm not super familiar with him, but I'll read you off his minor league stats from last year. Last year, the kid played in 77 games, 296 at-bats, 65 runs, which is a lot of runs for that amount of games, 12 bombs, 44 RBIs, 6 steals, and he hit 328. So I think at worst minimum, this kid's going to give you a batting average. I could see him being a 300 hitter. I could see him, if he's there the whole year, with 20 bombs, maybe 10 steals. The runs and RBIs, a little questionable in that Cleveland team, but let's see where he winds up in the lineup. I think it's in deeper leagues, and even if and you're in a normal size league, it's somebody you take a shot on. You throw him at the end of your bench and you see what happens. It's early in the year. This is the time where if you have those extra roster spots, you make those moves and you kind of see what happens at this point. I don't think it's panic theater. I don't think you go and you drop somebody big that's like the big name guy that's struggling right now for him. But once again, if there's a spot at the end of your bench or one of these guys that we talked about, like a Moncada or somebody that's banged up, and you have that extra spot, hey, throw him in there. You could do worse. I think Stephen Kwan's going to be interesting, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, he's worth a little flyer. I'm never opposed to holding a young guy at the beginning of the season and saying, hey, why not? And if they keep doing what they're doing, I'm riding that wave. If not, it's easy drop. The whole point of having the late round flyers and them doing bad at the beginning of the season is so you can make moves for guys like this anyway. So you just keep going, pick him up when he's hot, drop him when he's cold, and then pick him back up again when he's hot again. This could be a peak and valley situation.
All right, Matt. Before we move into our little closer segment here, what I'm gonna do this myself, and I'm gonna ask you to do it as well. So we named four guys there, right? We got Gavin Lux, we got Connor Joe, we got Bryson Stott, and we got Stephen Kwan, right? I'm gonna rank them, and then I want you to rank them as well for just the fans here to let them know where we stand. In my opinion, guys, if I had to say, where I'm at on all these guys, I would probably say Gavin Lux 1. I'd probably say Bryson Stott 2. I'd probably go Stephen Kwan 3 and Connor Joe 4. That's my opinion. I think Gavin Lux just the upside's a lot in that Dodgers lineup. I think he can give you almost every category besides steals. Stott, once again, going to be interesting in that Phillies lineup. A lot of runs. He's potentially power steal guy. Stephen Kwan, batting average, it's going to be interesting there. And then Connor Joe is just kind of more of a flyer there. Just see what happens with him there in Coors. Matt, you kind of like what I did there with that list? You kind of agreeing, or do you got a different little list yourself there?
I mean, I do. I mean, is this just the bets, or are we just doing all of?
Yeah, let's just do the bats. Let's just do the bats. Let's do Lux, Connor Joe, Stott, and Stephen Kwan.
Right. Well, it's Stott, Joe, and then if you wanna take flyers on the others, you can.
Damn. Okay.
The only reason I say it is, I mean, I just want to see Lux hit higher in the lineup before I can, deem him anything. But he's interesting. So you take a flyer, at second base eligibility. But I mean, it's really just those two that I have any interest in picking up this week that are like, hey, they're going to directly impact my team right off the bat. Connor Joe is intriguing, but meh. But I mean, my number one and two waiver wire priority for the weekend. I mean, for the week is honestly Lodolo and Stott, and then you take your shot on Romero. So I wouldn't pick up both Lodolo and Romero, but I would take one of them at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Matt that I think Lodolo is the pickup of the week. I like Lodolo out of all of these guys, but I would say for all the hitters, I'm going Gavin Lux personally. So moving on, guys, we're gonna do a little closer segment here. We know saves are one of the hardest categories to come across. So right now there's a couple guys that might be out there in your league that it looks like they kind of have the position locked down. Somebody who's a little bit higher owned, that he's probably been jumped on already, but we're gonna throw him out there. That's David Robertson of the Chicago Cubs. He's closed before. He's been in the big leagues a while. He's got the numbers. I just think that, and the Cubs look pretty decent so far. So if their Cubs are going to be in close game, I think Robertson could be a 30 save guy. That's once again the whole year. I never like to say that about any closer because it's so unpredictable. But I think Robertson is going to be pretty good at that position. Matt, you like Robertson too? I think I have him as my number one closer. That we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah, I like Robertson. I like the fact that he came out of nowhere for us, and he's somebody that's going to help you out. He's a nice little quick ad for RP3 if you're really desperate, or even your RP2. It's going to play out nice for you no matter what. I don't think he's going to get you 30 saves. I don't even think he keeps the job the whole season. But right now, he's the best closer.
I wouldn't be shocked.
He's the best closer they got. So the real reason I say that he won't keep the job is because he's going to get hurt at some point. So.
I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked at all. But yeah, guys, right now, you can do worse than David Robertson at closer. Another guy that looks like he's going to have the job for a little bit, that's Jake Diekman of the Boston Red Sox. I literally watched him strike out Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and Joey Gallo back-to-back to beat us yesterday, which was super disappointing. But I'm actually surprised I didn't pull the trigger on him. I think the only reason I didn't because I picked up Robertson in most of my leagues. But Diekman, he doesn't have a great track record. I was looking at his stats. I think that kind of turned me off to him a little bit as well. Kind of a high whip guy, which I really don't like that. Guys like that usually wind up losing closer jobs because they give up too many runs and they get too many guys on base, especially with the guy on second rule now. So if you got to go out there and get a save in later innings, it's almost impossible because of that BS. But I'm not going to rant about that. I'm kind of lower on Diekman than some of these other guys we're going to talk about. But if you want a closer for a good team, I mean, you could totally take him.
And Diekman's not going to be the closer for longer than Barnes comes back. It's Barnes' job. Barnes is just not available right now. So, they still got games to play.
Yeah.
Diekman's been given the nod to have the role in the short term. So, if you lost Burns, or you know what, you want to manufacture some wins in the save category for this week, scoop up Diekman. What's 5 innings going to be in comparison to him throwing up like a 4.5 ERA with a high WHIP versus if you have 97
Yeah.
innings pitched for this week because it's an extended week. It's okay.
Yeah, guys.
If I can pull out 2 saves this week from him, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I mean, I agree in the sense that I would pick him up if you need a couple of saves this week, but I'm kind of gonna avoid that Red Sox closer situation. I kind of don't think it's going to be great. Alex Cora was already saying that he doesn't have faith in Matt Barnes, which I don't like. Like I said, I don't think Jake Diekman is that good for the long run, and then they got guys like Ryan Brazier, who's also not that good. So unless they go out there, like I think if Boston's in contention going into like the playoffs or the All-Star game around that time, I could see them trading for a better relief pitcher to take that job. So I'm not picking up any of these Boston guys, whether it's Barnes or Jesus, who the Diekman. I'm not really picking them up with in mind of longevity. I'm picking them up in mind to win me saves for possibly the week. But moving on here, somebody who I think is actually more interesting is Daniel Bard of the Colorado Rockies. I believe he had the job there last year. I'm going to pull up his stats there from last year because I believe he had a decent amount of saves last year. Last year he had 20 saves for the Rockies. The ERA was absolutely horrible, though. It was a 5.21 ERA. 65 innings, 20 saves, 80 Ks, and a 1.59 WHIP. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I have Jake Diekman over him now that I look up his stats. Bard is just somebody for saves. He's going to give you absolutely nothing else besides saves and strikeouts. Once again, guys, if you need the saves, you go out and get them. But I'm not recommending it. I'm not recommending Daniel Bard, actually. Matt, I don't know if you are, but I don't like these numbers at all.
The numbers are terrible, but you know what? It's fantasy baseball. You're going to manufacture wins any way, shape, or form. So you know what? Colorado really isn't a good team. Like, if anything, it's going to be a high scoring sensation, and it's just got a Bardson to come in and just either blow it or take advantage of it. But I'll roll him out this week. And you know what? I'm not going to pass on saves, especially if I don't have anybody that has anything. Like if I've just missed out on closer, I'm picking them up. It's a desperation Hail Mary. So, I mean, it's no better than that. I want to talk about Tyler Duffy. Tyler Duffy's just as pathetic. So,
and he hasn't looked good so far either, actually.
He blown the save already, but he's the guy right now in Minnesota. So,
did he? Jeez.
Yeah. So, he's got an 18 ERA. But the thing is, though, it's about manufacturing it. Can he get me a save? Most likely, if they're going to give him the opportunity. It's not like one save opportunity, one blown save is going to knock him out of the job. They just traded away Taylor, knowing that they had Duffy and only Duffy, so he has to at least get at least a chance at this. He's going to have somewhat of a long leash. So I'm at least going to ride it out for at least a couple weeks until I see, if I'm getting bombarded, then he's out. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you. It's getting real grim out there for saves, guys. I'll just go out there and say that. Out of the last three guys we talked about, I guess Diekman, in my opinion, is probably the best for short term. If you're talking long term, I guess Bard's gonna have, the job is his to lose because he had the job last year. But I'm not thrilled by any of the last three that we spoke about. There's one more guy here who actually looks like he has a little bit better upside. That's Anthony Bender of the Miami Marlins. Once again, I don't even know how long he's going to have the job because Dylan Floro is going to be back at some point, and he had the job last year, and I think he takes it back. But Anthony Bender did pretty good himself last year. He had a 2.79 ERA in 60 games. He only had 3 saves across 61.1 innings, 71 strikeouts, and a 106 WHIP. So if you want somebody that has a little bit better numbers, but you don't really know how long he's going to have the job for, I'd say take Anthony Bender. You want my 2 cents here of all the guys we talked about? Robertson's an easy number 1. I'd say Bender 2, Diekman 3, Bard 4, and then Duffy 5. Saves are tough right now, guys. So you like that list, Matt? There we go. So you got the MDs agreeing there on that one, guys. It's just a tough situation right now, guys. So if you're desperate to go out there and get saves. Looks like those are the options right now. I know the Cincinnati bullpen is a little bit shaky right now too. I know. I'm just going to throw out there. They got a guy named Tony Stalin. I believe he's closing right now. I don't know how long he's going to have the job for, but he's a little bit interesting too. I'd throw him into these list of names that we got here. So, guys, that's the closer segment here. Matt, is there anything else you wanted to rant about here, my brother?
No, I think we're good. Sorry for all the delays. I'm in the middle of selling my
Yeah, guys,
house.
that one's on us.
So everybody,
Yes.
I keep getting booted out of my house every time I get comfortable to sit down. So this will be not our problem for Thursday, but bear with us. And all
Yeah, guys, just bear with us. We appreciate it. This episode was a little bit tough, but we got through it there, and we're giving you guys good information. With all the injuries and it being the beginning of the year, this is the time you want to listen and make these moves, because if you're not being proactive right now, you're going to miss out on the Cedric Mullins of last year, the Alec Manoahs, the guys like that really helped win fantasy championships. This is the time to make those moves. You listen to everything we got to say, you take it in, and then you go out there and you apply it to your leagues. You could always email us at thefantasymds@gmail.com. We'll answer any questions, anything you got for us. You can always give us questions. We'll do a mailbag here on some point once we have enough questions. Anything else, guys, we appreciate all follows, listens, likes, comments, subscribes, anything that you can give us, throw our way. We truly appreciate it. But guys, catch us on Thursday. Thank you for listening. We'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.